Hello, Mr. Backman here again. This is our second Docendo Discamus video. Remember, Docendo Discamus means by teaching we learn. So the idea is you should be able to take what you get from this video today, share it with somebody else as if you're a teacher. So let's go to whatever Schoology class you're in. And what I want to show you, and you probably have discovered this already, continue watching the video, but at the top there's a red file, and I have that at the top of all my courses. And in that file are a number of things you might look at. But today we definitely want to look at this daily Docendo document. And at this document, the first thing I want you to notice is that there's a link to my YouTube channel where you can find these videos. And the other thing to do when you're looking at this is to think about what you did last time, not just what we're going to do today, what we did last time. And for example, you should have cards like so. So I have a card here. I have a definition that says related to conscious intellectual activity. It's an adjective. What is the English word that you can find in your brain that means that? Now, the good news is, even if you cannot retrieve it from your brain right now, the good news is you get instant feedback. And that's why I want you to have these words. Cognitive. And remember, that root cog has to do with, obviously, thinking. And obviously, we have another adjective definition from last time. I label mine DD1, Docendo Discamus 1, just so I can remember where those were at. But obviously, we're going to be building up a lot of these cards, and you'll want to study them. You never know when we might have a quiz, but you'll be ready because you'll be studying your words, right? Okay, so today we're going to go to number 2. Now, you don't need to write this down, but I have a little word history mystery that relates to today's words. What does an adjective meaning indifferent have in common with an adjective meaning the ability to understand and share the feelings of others? Now, if you can think of a word indifferent, a synonym for that in English, what would be a word that would mean the same? And then the second word, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It'd be nice to have one word for that, wouldn't it? One word instead of a whole long string of words. Well, if you can come up with those words, good. If you can't, the good news is you'll discover the meanings and those words today. So let's look at our sentence. And let's write this down right below where we wrote down on your separate piece of paper yesterday. We'll label this number 2. When she failed to get a promotion, she became apathetic about her job and no longer did her best. So remember, apathetic is the word. I just put this word empathetic here because I want to compare this word with the word we're using here. We'll come back to the definitions of those words later on, but let's look at the sentence. So we're thinking like an editor here, and hopefully you notice there's something strange going on here because we have this opening group of words, when she failed to get a promotion, she. Now you might be saying, well, it feels like we need a comma here because I need a pause. Now that's a good instinct. It's a good intuitive thought, but using our cognition, can we think about why we're doing that? Well, if we think about why, there's logic in English syntax. And notice what we have here is an opening group of words. Is it a phrase or is it a clause? Well, I would argue it's a clause because it has a subject, she, which is a pronoun, and it has a verb, which is the predicate. And remember, phrases have to have subject and verbs. This one happens to be a group of words that cannot stand alone because this word when makes it subordinate. So this is what we would call a dependent clause. Now, don't get too caught up in that terminology, but I want you to know your way around sentences, not so that you can impress people with a bunch of terms or jargon, but so that you understand how to edit not only your writing, but help others to be clear for the readers. So we have a comma here. That's going to make this sentence much more understandable for a reader. They're going to understand that there's a clause that comes first. The subject is she. Now, she became apathetic about her job and no longer did her best. Now we have a comma here, and we want to make sure that that comma is correct. Remember, the word and is called a coordinating conjunction, and the rule is if you have a comma, it's a signal, and that signal says what's coming after that conjunction is a complete thought. No longer did her best. That's not a complete thought, is it? It's missing something to be a complete thought. So therefore, logic tells us we should get rid of that comma. So now this sentence makes more sense, I hope. We've got a comma. We know why we put the comma there. We got rid of a comma. We should know why we got rid of that comma. And again, take a minute, talk to the wall, talk to your friend, talk to somebody, and teach them this. If you have somebody younger than you, would be especially great, because then you could teach them the basic rule. All right, then we have the word apathetic. Now, just like the word asynchronous, remember, asynchronous means we're not doing something at the same time. Well, pathos has to do with emotions, doesn't it? That's from the Greek. So this is without emotion. You do something without emotion, means you don't care about it. You're apathetic about it. Empathetic has to do with sharing the feelings of others. So here's our definition: apathetic, without feeling indifferent. So if you feel apathetic about something, you really don't care too much about it one way or the other, right? And then let's also write down our definition for empathetic: showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So notice both these words have the root feelings from pathos, emotion. And it's just a good idea to look at those words and say, could I explain the difference between apathetic and empathetic? And that will help you remember those words. And of course, don't forget also to write down those words on 3x5 cards: apathetic with definition. Now we'll have 4 words that I can quiz you on during class meetings or anytime. It also might be good to make a note about the root, path or pathos, having to do with feelings or suffering. And again, lots of words in English that have been borrowed from the Greek. Antipathy is a large amount of dislike for something. Pathos is a word we'll get into when we talk about rhetoric. Sympathy is very similar to empathy, a little bit different, but similar. Let's look again at our sentence. Notice what we did. We put a comma there. We should know why. This would be what we would call a complex sentence, wouldn't it? Because it opens up with a dependent clause followed by an independent clause. Don't get too worried about that terminology, but I will be talking a little bit each day just about some of the terminology of English syntax, just because I want you to know that for your ability to write. I won't throw things you don't need to know, but this is one thing you need to know, because it'd be nice to say, oh, I want to put a comma in there because there's a pause, but I really want you to know why that comma is there and all the different types of commas there are. Now, just a little sneak preview for next time. What does a noun meaning a summary have in common with a noun that refers to words with the same meaning? So next time for Docendo number 3, we will look at those words. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you soon. Take care.